In this video, we will talk about core data. So all of the applications we have seen so far will lose whatever data we have in the application whenever you close the application and start it back again. And if we want to keep that data without having to connect to an external database, we can always save the data on the phone or the device itself. So we will do a simple app that is going to save some data, and then we'll see how we can retrieve it, how we can clear it, how we can delete specific items in this video. I will start with a single view app and I'll click next. Now I will name my application Core Data Test App, something like that. Now you need to make sure to check the core data box and then click next and create your app anywhere in your computer. Now you will see that we have something new here, which is the core data test app.xc data. So here is this is the place where we'll save our data. And what I will do is I will go ahead and add an entity. We'll need some kind of placeholder to hold the data, and it is called entity. So I'll click on the button right here at the bottom and I'll add an entity. So I will just create a simple list, let's say, and I can come here and change my entity name to list. So I'll call this my list. And I need attributes for that entity. So each entity can have multiple attributes. To make this simple, I will have one attribute. So let me call it name. I'm pretending that I'm having a list of friends, let's say. And then I can come here and change the data type. Everything has to have a data type, and I'll have it as a string. Now you can come here and make it optional and make it required. So I'll make it optional for now. The only difference is you'll need to unwrap it if it's optional, and I will just leave it as it is for right now. Okay, if you make it not optional, then you cannot save anything without a value in there, and this is based on the design that you want to accomplish. Now my application is going to be very simple. What I will have is I just will add a text box. So let me have a text field somewhere in here to enter the names, and let me follow this with a label, and my label is going to say enter a name. Okay, and I will have some buttons here, and I will explain all of those as I add them. So I will have a button right here. I'm gonna call this button save, and this button is going to save whatever in the text box to the core data. I will have another button called display. Sorry, so I need just to add the button here, and I'm gonna call this display. And this is going to be very simple. I'm just printing on the console. You can always display on the UI, as we'll see later in a later example. And then on a third button called clear. So I'll have the button right here. And when I click this button, I want to clear everything in my list. And I will show you how we can delete specific items in the core data. Okay, now I need to connect this to my view controller. So I'll open up another editor. I will have my view controller right here, and I will have my storyboard on the other side to connect all of my elements. I will connect this as an outlet. So let me call this TV for text box. And for my save, let me just create an action. So I'll hold in control and pull it right here. create an action. Let me call this save, just a method that's going to be called save. After that, I need a method for display. Let me call this display. And finally, I will have a clear method right here. So let's call this clear. Okay. Now I don't need this editor part, I just need my class. The first thing you have to do is you have to import CoreData. So import CoreData. If you don't import CoreData, some of the functionalities will not work. Now let's work on the save method. So what I want to happen eventually is when I click the save button, it's going to pull whatever on the text box right here and save it into the CoreData right here, into my list under name. So I'll go back to my view controller and I'll come to my save method. And for the save method, you will need to create two things first. You will need to create what's called a context and what's called an entity. And then you will create an object that you need to save, and then you will save it. So let's see how we can create all of those. So let me just comment this, creating a context. So I'll say let context equal to, and I will open parentheses, and I will say UI application dot shared dot delegate, and then I will say as exclamation mark app delegate. Okay, so this is my context, which is the app delegate. We have the app delegate right here, and then I will create an entity. So I'll say let entity, you can call this any name as well. The entity is going to be ns entity description dot entity, and then right here we will provide the name of our entity. See here, we called our entity my list, so I can just copy this and come back here. For entity name, which is a string, is going to be my list, and we need a context object. We just created one and we called it context. Okay, and then we forgot something right here on the first line. Dot persistent container dot view context. Okay, we just forgot this in the first line. So now I need to create an object to save. Okay, so I will create an object and I'll call it save this, for example. So let an object called save this equal to ns managed object dot, or sorry, I will open up parentheses, and then I will say entity. I need an ns entity, so I'll put my entity that I just created right here, and then I will need to unwrap my entity, and I'll need a context right here, and I already created a context, so it is going to be my context. Okay, now what I want to add something to my object before saving it, so I'll say save this dot set value. So I'll add a value, and then the value is going to be tb, which is my text box, dot text. So I'm pulling the text. Where do I save it? So if we go back to our entity, the entity is called my list, and I have an attribute called name. So I'll save the content of the text box to this name. So I'll go back right here, and the key is a string. I will just say name. Okay. Now I set up the saving, but I did not save anything yet. I need to perform this line. So I'll need to say context.save, but if I say it right away, dot save, it's going to give me an error because it's going to throw an exception and I did not handle that exception. So I will need to put this in a try catch block. So let's do a try catch block. So we'll write do, and then we'll open parentheses and we'll say try context.save. And just to confirm, I'll just print something like data saved. Okay, and then with that try block, we need a catch block. So I'll say catch, and then I will say I'll print saving failed. And if you want to see your exception, you can just do this. If I include this part right here, it is going to give me the exact error. Okay, and now this will do it for saving. Now I need to be able to display it. So in my display, I will go again and create a context exactly like I created this context. So I can just copy the context that I created right here. But this time I will not create an entity, I will create a request because I'm trying to request the data from the core data. So I will say let request, and again this can be any name, is equal to ns fetch request, and then I will append this to a list of type ns fetch request result. So ns fetch request result, and then where is this data coming from? It's coming from entity name that's called my list. So I need to perform this line, otherwise it's going to give me the it's going to give me some kind of something that's going to look like an error, but it's not an error. It's not going to display the data if I don't do this line, which is the following: request dot return objects as false, and we need to set this to false, otherwise it is going to return objects as false, and it's going to look not pretty, and it's not going to show you what we want to see. Now again, I will do this in a try catch block, and I'll say do, and inside my try catch block I want to get my results, so I will say let results equal to, we'll try fetching the context, so try context dot fetch, and then I will need to supply with a request. I just created a request right here, so I can just come here and say okay, so fetch from this request. Okay, and I need to just put the catch, and this is going to clear out. So I can just come right here and say catch, and this should clear the error right here. Okay, now I need to come right here after my result, and I need what I need to do for the display, I just want to print it on the console. And then this is going to be almost the same as if you want to put it on a UI. So I will just have a for loop. So for a string in my results, so for a string in my result, and I need to supply my results as objects, so I can just do as, and then I will have an array of ns managed objects. I will come inside my loop, and what I will do is I will just print the values for the name. So I'll say print and inside my print I will print str is going to be my object. So this is an object for right now, it's not a string, but I saved it, I said str because what I'm trying to get is a string. And then I will say dot value for key. And what is my key? Remember, my key is called name. And for my catch I will just say something like print nothing is stored here, for example. Or it's going to give me an error, it's not gonna be nothing is stored here, so it's going to give me an error actually, but I can always just say failed, something like display failed, and I can just print there so I can know what's going on. And this is how we can um, save and display. So let's run this and try to save and display, and then we will implement the clear part of it. So now if I click display, I don't have anything. So enter a name, John, save it. It says data saved. If I say display, I get an optional John. Why is it an optional? Because I need to unwrap it. So if I want to remove that optional part, I just unwrap whatever I save in here, and then I will stop my app, run it back again. Now if I click display, I have John because I had it from the previous run. It is saved on the CoreData. So if I say Bob, save it, and then display, I'll have John and Bob. If I close this, run it back again, and click display, I will still have John and Bob.